If we wish to be true warriors of the heavenly King and genuine participants, we must rid ourselves of all gossip and attachment to earthly things, which give rise to mental distractions and cover the soul like a dark fog. We should cast off all negligence, cowardice, and feminine weakness, and thus stand against the cunning of demons. Let us labor in prayers and other virtues with all our diligence and strength, body and mind, just like someone who runs quickly down a road without looking back. Such is the trickery of the wicked demons. They are constantly occupied with us, like guards observing our tendencies and desires, what we think about and what we love, what we are engaged in besides them, and what passions they notice in us. That's what they urge us towards, and that's how they set their traps for us. We stir up passions against ourselves, becoming their cause. Demons seek reasons in us, as our inclinations make us prone to entanglement. They don't force us into unwanted actions. They test us to see if we'll accept any passion, adding tricks to our desires. Ultimately, the reason for sin is ours. They do not force us into things we do not want, which we reject in our minds, and with which we do not agree of our own will. They gradually test us to see if we will accept any passion, and they add their tricks to our desires and efforts, because in essence, the reason for sin belongs to us. If we do not cut off the beginnings of every passion, we allow our attachments, weakness, and negligence to take root. They gradually test us to see if we will accept any passion, and they add their tricks to our desires and efforts, because, in essence, the reason for sin belongs to us. We do not cut off the beginnings of every passion, weakness, and negligence. Excessive sleep, laziness, and untimely eating can be the reason for demons to enter. When they come, they first push at the door of the heart, that is, secretly, like thieves, they plant a thought. And they notice whether there is a guard or not, meaning whether the thought will be accepted or not. If accepted, then they start to create the passion and urge us towards it, robbing us of our spiritual wealth. If they find a guard at the heart's door, that is. When someone gets used to dismissing and driving away their thoughts, turning their mind away from the initial mental suggestions, they make their mind deaf and mute to their barking, that is, not agreeing with them at all. They cannot do any harm to such a person, because his mind is becoming sober. If the enemies, raising all this, cannot hold back or divert the steadfast soul and the unshakable warrior of Christ, they compel us to engage in spiritual conversations out of love, to teach, or to add something to the food for a friend, or to sweeten a celebration. They rob him of apparent good, presenting their own under the guise of goodness, depriving him of true virtues of prayer and struggle. They compel us to engage in spiritual talks out of love, to teach or add to a friend's meal, knowing Adam fell from love of pleasure. They cloud the mind's purity and self-attention, plunging one into adultery or other passions. They compel us to engage in spiritual conversations, to add to a meal or celebration. Adam fell from pleasure. They cloud the mind, leading to adultery or other passions. They disturb with ailments. For the deceitful know, by pleasure, Adam fell. They first begin to darken the pure clarity of the mind, and in this way they suddenly lead to adultery or other passions. Then they use illusions, disturbing him with ailments. They attack his pride, suggesting holiness. They arm themselves with false apparitions, stirring up people and arming themselves with them, offending and disturbing him with various ailments. If they still don't win, they attack his pride, planting the thought that he is holy, secretly telling him how much suffering he has endured. Demons, like a cunning hunter, when their initial tactics prove powerless, then leave, withdraw, hide, and appear to be defeated. So look, man, pay attention, don't slack off. They won't leave you even until your grave. But they prepare a great ambush, watching closely how to start again and rise up, for they do not rest. When the warmth of zeal cools down in the ascetic, they secretly prepare some kind of net, come back, spread it out, and catch him. Look for the cause of every passion within yourself, and once you find it, arm yourself and dig out its root with the sword of suffering. If you don't uproot it, it will sprout again and grow. Without this means, you can't overcome passions, achieve purity, and be saved. Therefore, if we want to be saved, cut off the initial impulse of thought and desire of every passion. Conquer the small, so as not to fall into the great, and you will conquer everything that follows with this alone. God allows challenges due to pride. When someone feels strong and self-reliant, they should realize their weakness and understand that without God's help, they can do nothing. When someone considers themselves holy or strong and relies on themselves, looking down on the weaker ones, let them realize their weakness, understand God's help, and be enlightened that without God's assistance, they can do nothing, and humble their thoughts. Or again, He allows this as a punishment for sins, so that you may repent and become more experienced in your struggles, or for the sake of the crowns for victory. What have you been defeated by? What are you suffering from? Before all passions, arm yourself and put all your effort into it. Every passion and suffering is overcome by unwavering faith, heartfelt effort, and tears, with fervent zeal and a quick determination to resist the present passion. And this is a noble and commendable spiritual struggle. Demons are very afraid of the 6 virtues. 1. Longing. 2. Thirst. 3. Desire. The Jesus Prayer. 4. The sign of the cross upon themselves, on their face. The 5th is frequent communion with the pure mysteries for those worthily. There is no more terrified without suffering, and gradually easing up on ourselves is not from God, but from demons. If we are weak and unable to strive, we will gain humility, gratitude, and the Jesus Prayer. But if we are healthy, we must push ourselves to the point of exhaustion, and little by little strengthen our hearts and learn patience and virtue. Otherwise, we cannot be saved. Don't think that you receive harm from your brother in any way. Evil rises within us on its own without him. If you endure any suffering for the sake of future reward, then blame yourself in everything, not your brother. In everything, try to blame yourself, showing and reminding yourself that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Always remember these 3 words: forgive, bless, and pray for me, a sinner.